Let's talk about Thursday. Non-NBA Cup games for this week. There are 4 games on. Let's preview them. Let's preview streaming. Let's preview Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and if it was me, I'd name it Richard's Sporting Goods. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We're free. We are available on all platforms. We are part of the number 1 sports podcast network. The Locked On Podcast Network, of course. We're going to look ahead here to Thursday's games in the NBA. We've got Wednesday's 2 games in the NBA Cup. Thursday, an untouched schedule, pristine. Absolutely free of all interference with 4 games on. Friday is also another NBA Cup free day. And then Saturday, well, we'll have 2 games on and they will count. I just don't know what the second game will be. The first one will be New York and Orlando. I'm always just going to keep banging this through because there'll be someone who doesn't listen and tunes in and goes, does the NBA Cup count? Yeah, it does. Apart from the final next Tuesday. But the games on Saturday do. We just don't know what they both are yet. So we're here talking about the schedule. For Thursday, there are 4 games on. You'll be shocked to know that we get some weird start times. No 7 p.m. Eastern start time. In fact, there's no game that's even in the Eastern time zone. We've got 7 p.m. Central starts, 8 p.m. Eastern. Boston, Milwaukee, Clippers and Rockets, Blazers, Pelicans. They're all at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then we've got a late game, which is the 7 p.m. Pacific game, and that's the Nuggets and the Kings. 4 games on Thursday. It's a relatively normal Thursday schedule. We don't usually get big slates there. But you would hope for maybe a few more given how light on the week is, but it doesn't matter. Also, again, a late start with those first 3 games all tipping off at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then you've got the 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific Nuggets-Kings game. Let's go into these games, dig in through the details here. The first game is the Celtics and the Bucks. These teams, like for most of them, we just haven't seen them play this week, so it's been a long, long time out. Chris Boucher is going to miss for Boston. Amari Williams is dealing with a hand fracture. I know there's a lot of people that keep getting excited about Jayson Tatum and asking the question, will he be back for fantasy playoffs? Maybe, but that means February. And that for tearing your Achilles in May, it seems pretty ridiculous for him to be back in February. Now, maybe he is. Maybe there is some sort of miracle that in 9 months he is back and going. He is not going to be himself, that is obvious. He will be minutes limited. He won't be playing 20 minutes a night. If he does come back, say, in March, he'll start off playing 20 minutes, 23 minutes. He'll push it up. He'll probably hit 30 at some point, but he'll sit back-to-backs. I don't know whether Jayson Tatum's going to come back. Again, I don't really see the point of it. I know Boston's currently in the 3 seed. If they lose 1 game, they'll be 8th. Like it's far from a loaded up, guaranteed this is a great team and Tatum comes back that challenge for the title. I don't think that's true at all. But I do think that if he can come back, and I'll just keep referencing this one, a la Paul George after he broke his leg that first time playing for Team USA, when he came back and played the final 6 games of the season, like 25 minutes a night, he was very rusty, but he played. And I think there is a chance that Tatum can do that. If he comes back in March, maybe even early April, that'll be 11 months, which you can come back from an Achilles there. You're not going to be yourself. It's going to take 2 years to get back to being yourself. But if you can come back and play 10 games, 15 games at the end of the season, and people say, why would you bring him back if they're not going to win anything? Part of the reason is so he comes back, he gets a confidence. The games, they don't matter that much here. They might make the playoffs, but they're not going to be a challenger team like that. But Tatum could come back, get his legs under him, get something going so that when he heads into next season, he's not like, I haven't played in 2 years. How am I going to be? You'd be like, he's played, you've withstood it, you're ready to go. Now, of course, there should be no risk in that return. If there's a risk, you're not pushing him back early. But there is a chance that he does play. I just don't think that it's going to be, we've got to stash him now because he'll be back before fantasy playoffs and then Tatum will be rolling. I'll have a top 20 guy. I think when he comes back, he probably won't even be top 50 is my guess at his peak. And I think it's more likely that he returns in the middle of the fantasy playoffs with a ramp up to maybe playing 30 minutes by the end of April. That's my guess, if it even happens at all. If you could, I think you do try to bring him back for 10 games. But there's also no guarantee that happens. I know that's just a long thing, but there's always a video that appears of Jayson Tatum. He's ahead of schedule. He's going to push back, which is great. It's a perfect mindset for athletes. Doesn't mean that it'll happen. It probably will. But I honestly think that the stashing of Jayson Tatum for a fantasy league, in a lot of cases, if you don't manage it correctly, will just be bad for you. If your team is strong, and you are first, and you go, I don't need this IL slot, and even if I do, if I take some L's, it's okay, then do it. This is where nuance comes in. But if you're needing slots, and you're needing wins, this is not first round player that you're picking up. I don't think that is how that'll work. Anyway, that is a long way to go to talk about this Celtics-Bucks game, which will have no Giannis in it. And the other guy's out, not really that important. The other one that is important, though, is Big Boom AJ Green with a shoulder contusion, because if he is out, it does mean more for Gary Trent, it means more for Gary Harris, it means maybe a bit more for Cole Anthony, it means more maybe for Bobby Portis, Jericho Sims. But if Green plays, then all those other guys do suffer a little bit of a hit. And I know it's crazy to think that a shooting guard who hits threes only, his absence will impact Jericho Sims, a center who can't shoot from outside of 3 feet. It does, because it just creates more shuffling of positions. Green is out, Kuzma plays the 3 more, Sims and Turner and Portis take up the front court, and everyone slides down. If Green plays, then Kuzma can slide up to the 4 more. There's less Sims, there's less Portis availability. It's all the sliding nature of the positionless or semi-positionless stuff. Next game. We've got Clippers. We've got Rockets. Last time out, we had no Alperen Şengün through an illness. Last time out, Steven Adams rested on a back-to-back. I see no reason that they'll be absent here. I also don't believe that Dorian Finney-Smith or Tari Eason will be available. But Şengün and Adams should be there. Jordan Miller dealing with some back stuff for the Clippers. Their rotation continues to be somewhat confusing. Last game we saw Brook Lopez return to the rotation, and Kobe Brown, who'd played I think 20 minutes the game before, just be taken out of it. Cam Christie didn't play either. That back end thing, by the way, camcorder legend Ray J. Dennis now plays for Clippers. Just in case you wanted any camcorder action, he is now in LA. Ray J. Ray J back in LA. What has ever gone wrong? But that's happening. Blazers Pelicans. Officially, Jordan Poole is questionable. We know Zion is out. Officially, Jordan Poole is questionable. That's huge news, because we get to see what happens. What does it do to her? What does it do to Fears? What does it do to Alvarado? What does it do to Bay in his usage? Is Poole a 20-minute-a-night bench guy? Could he start over Bay? And they go Fears, Poole, Murphy, Jones? I don't think they will. What is the idea of how they're using Geordie from here on out? In Portland, Rob Williams should be returning from his illness, and Donovan Clingan is officially questionable. Drew Holiday also officially doubtful, so Drew is probably back over the weekend, I would guess. So your sell-high window and Denny Avdia remains open. If Donovan Clingan is out, Rob Williams is going to be an awesome stream, but we don't know that at this point. If Clingan is out, like Williams will start, it won't be Young Hunsen. I don't think it'll be Dwight Reith as the backup there. So, yeah, some interesting returns potentially coming. And the final game of the day is the Nuggets and the Kings. I honestly just don't know. Dennis Schroeder has just been one of those injuries where we just get no update on it. Yeah, his question was sick. That's been 2.5 weeks. Like, any update on what the actual injury timeline is here? And their rotation makes no sense game to game. You know this. Malik Monk could easily, with Schroeder back, play 30 minutes. Or it could get DMP'd. Or Westbrook could play 25, or he could play 40. Or Levine could play 20 minutes or 37. Like, I don't know. Adding Schroeder to the mix makes it more complicated, but it could also make players who played fewer minutes play more minutes. None of it makes sense. I'm definitely not rostering Dennis Schroeder outside of streaming on a day like this with only 4 games on. That is realistically all I am looking at. What I'm looking at now is getting ready to tell you about streaming. But before I do that, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994, and there are 48 teams in it for the first time ever. Plenty of teams in the World Cup for the first time in their history of this country as members of FIFA. Haiti's going to be making their debut. Yeah, they're in the World Cup. Uzbekistan, I believe, made it in. Cool. But getting tickets, well, part of the hard part for those teams is qualifying, but for you, getting tickets is the hardest part. The Game Time app is clutch. It gives you the real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when the great seats open, and you buy tickets the moment that they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and it makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You pick a game, you tap a section, and you get your tickets locked in within minutes. There's no confusion and no hunting for fine print. The prices also include the fees up front, which is great because there's no last-second surprises at checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go, Game Time. Today's episode is also brought to you by Quo. New year and new systems. And that's the time of the year when we look at often the messier parts of our business and think there's got to be a better way. And yeah, there is. Because today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. When you're ready to make your workday smoother and to keep customers connected without the headaches, Quo makes upgrading your setup easier than ever. You can have your calls and texts and voicemails all in one clean view, which keeps everything organized and helps you stay responsive. And you're able to share one team number, which makes it easier to make sure nothing gets missed. Make sure this is the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free. Plus, get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That is quo.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Okay, so we are looking at the daily look ahead for Thursday in the league. There are 4 games on. Usually in these daily look aheads, we do some schedule-based stuff and chunky streaming. We can't really do that with any level of accuracy, so there's no point because there are no back-to-backs. And also, I do not know who is playing on Saturday. I do not know who is playing on Sunday, and I also don't know who's playing on Monday. There could be an extra game added. There will be a game on Saturday. There could be one extra added on Sunday. There could be one more added on Monday. And there also could be one taken away from Monday. Or there could be one taken away from Wednesday next week too. Because of the way that the schedule is looking. Sorry, not taken away on Monday, taken away from Wednesday. Because of who makes the NBA Cup final. Lots can change. Still. So we're not going to do that yet. What we are going to do, and I have bemoaned this problem, woe is me, and all of that, about streaming and trying to make sure I hit the right players and numbers and lists of guys. Someone left a comment on one of the shows, why don't you just do this? I went, you know what? Let's try it. And he basically was like, just hit 60%, 50%, 40%, 20%, 10%. Give a couple of names from each of these groups and list them out there. See how that should give at least something for somebody in most leagues. I went, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But you know what? Let's try it. Let's see how it looks. We will start, though, with the streams of the day. I'm still using same cutoffs for streams of the day. Rob Williams, I believe, is the best category league streamer on the day, and that will improve if if Donovan Clingan is out. Chris Dunn is a nice 12-team stream guy who played huge minutes last time out. His minutes are all over the shop. They might be 32, they might be 21. But he's going to start. I'm very confident in that. Jericho Sims is a 14-team streamer. Remember, there's only 8 teams playing. There's only 4 games on. And if AJ Green is out, you might, for whatever reason Doc Rivers deems it appropriate, you might get 30 minutes out of Jericho Sims. And then for deep leagues, Aaron Holiday has been playing, for some reason, over Reed Shepherd. I don't know that that happens again, but I do know that with Tari Eason out, Holiday is in the rotation. He's a 15-minute guy minimum. And if you can push to 27 minutes because of whatever reason that Ime Udoka deems it's necessary to bench Reed Shepherd, then you're at least on the radar there. For Yahoo points, Peyton Watson still fits under 30%, and ESPN, Nemesh Keita is one of the better streams out there, under 30%. But like I said, we're going to attack this just a little bit differently on the streaming. Now, what I was doing in the past, I was doing, well, here's your 10K streamers. All these guys have to be at least under 60% using Basketball Monster's advanced number. Then I would go, here's the 12 teamers, and these guys have all got to be under 40%. Then I would say, here's the deep leaguers, and these guys have all got to be under 12%. Well, what I'm doing now is I'm just going to give you 10 names. 10 names for category streaming. 2 of these out of the 10 are going to be under 60. 2 of them are going to be sitting under 50. 2 of them are going to be sitting, 2 under 60, 2 under 40, 2 under 25, and 2 under 10. That's how I'm looking at these 10 names for categories. I'm going to give you 10 names for points leagues as well, and covering different sort of roster percentage numbers. So, this is not like here's your, because I always would say, here's the 10 teams for it, but if you're in whatever league, just check the list and run through it. So I go, what's the point of me even splitting them up that way? I might as well get you a list, start at the top, work your way down, see who's available. Out of the 10 names, I'm pretty sure that outside of the deepest double onyxes, you should be able to, find yourself somebody who's available for you. Again, the double onyxes, you're already on a level far above this. So we've got Rob Williams there. We've got Chrissy Dunn. Big Jericho Sims, the old Walls himself, which is a volatile one because sometimes we look at things and go, well, the coach did this and he gave Sims 30 minutes. Yeah, it happened. But then we look at it and go, does that make sense? The Jericho Sims plays 30 minutes, Miles Turner plays 24, Bobby Portis plays 20. Does that make sense from an NBA coach? A fake doctor nonetheless, but does it make sense for a coach to do that? And no, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. But Glenn did it. So I look at it and go, well, I guess Glenn will try it again. But you still have that nagging feeling going, this is dumb, this is stupid. Why would I look at Jericho Sims? It makes no sense to be playing this guy. And there will be games where Glenn goes, oh yeah, what am I doing? That'll happen. But it might not be this one. It might just be another 30 minutes of Jericho Sims for whatever reason. So he's on the list. I've got Kyle Kuzma there as well. Is he good? No, not at all. But especially if Big Boom AJ is out, Kuzma's value is there for streaming. And I actually think that his value is higher than Bobby Portis's because you're going to get 29 out of Kuzma most nights. Portis, as we have seen both times with Giannis out, they're not even starting him. He's like low 20s in minutes. No, it's better than getting 17, but he's not really being prioritized. You're getting Kuzma and Sims and Gary Harris, not even Gary Trent, play more minutes. And Bobby Portis sitting at the same number. But Kuzma's there. And I've got Aaron Holiday as well, who again, probably plays 20, could get to 28. We can sit there and go, yeah, mate, what are we doing? Why is he getting 28 minutes and Shepherd plays 20? That doesn't seem to make sense. And at some point, again, like if you want to bet on the talent, you may well go, yeah, I get it. There's a lot of lesson teaching that goes on in the NBA. And you see coaches specifically pull guys out for that reason. Şengün was that. Shepherd is that. Matas Buzelis seemed to be that in Chicago. And eventually it clicks though. But like Holiday's worth it for now when he is just available everywhere. The other 5 names I've got for category leagues, again, a mix of roster percentages here, so see whether that makes sense for you. Timmy Hardaway, who is really just a points and threes guy, but you can get 17 points out of him and 4 threes. You might get 2 assists or 3 assists, but you also might get 30% shooting. But out of him and like a Bruce Brown, who is still an option just a bit further down the list, as you can see, Hardaway's got the volume upside. Josh Minot only played 10 minutes last game, but he'd been playing 20 in the games previous. So the Minot, Gonzalez, Shireman minutes continue to be sort of hit or miss. We don't really know which direction they go on a game-by-game basis, but the bulk of the numbers from Sneaky Joe have pushed Joshy into those 18 to 20-minute zone. Slavin Sammy Hauser's minutes are also up at the moment. I believe he's played more minutes than Anthony Simons in the last 2 games, up to about 24. But much like Tim Hardaway, he's a points and threes guy, but there is value in just getting double-digit scoring with 3 threes, 4 threes. And then there's Bruce Brown, whose minutes, again, they might be 21, they might be 27. He might be scoreless, he might have 12, 5, and 5 with 2 steals. He's got some upside to be good, but also he's a bit washed, and his production is not as useful as it used to be. And his teammate, Bruce Brown, is the last name on this list. It's Spencer Jones. He's a starter. That automatically gives you a bit of a boost up. He's had a couple of good games. Most of his games are pretty bad, and he does really rely upon the shot going in at a high level. But again, on a day with eight teams playing only, a guy that's available in a lot of different spots, Spencer should be somebody who's going to play minimum 21 minutes and give us something. We'll come back and we will do points league stream options for Yahoo and ESPN. Today's episode, though, it's brought to you by the big fellas at ZocDoc. It's 2025. It's almost 2026. And like the days of waiting for something to become a full-blown emergency before you see your doctor, well, you can't afford that anymore. That is over. It's done. You can't just walk it off for 6 months and pretend that your weird shoulder stiffness is just sleeping wrong. It's time to take your health seriously. And ZocDoc makes that easier than ever because staying healthy, it's more than just getting to the gym or eating right. It's about actually getting things checked out when something feels off. Me, example, hurt my knee. Oh, that's bad. Maybe did I tear my ACL? Nah, surely I'm okay. Yeah, well, knee still hurting 2 years later. Let me have a look. Yeah, by the way, it looks like you tore your ACL. And now, like, you don't really know what to do with it. Sick. Because I'm an idiot and I didn't go in to get it checked out. ZocDoc makes scheduling easier though. You can search for in-network doctors and book it right in the app. The appointment times are listed, including same-day visits. There's no more back and forth phone calls and all waiting weeks to be seen. So stop putting off your doctor's appointments and get the care that you need. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That is ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. It's always going to make me laugh, man. Don't forget, again, we've got the Everydayer Club. $5 a month. Ad-free podcasts, Locked On merch, exclusive national shows, a Locked On Everydayer Discord. It's lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer. It's a great way of supporting Locked On, this show, and getting those exclusive ad-free shows, getting the ad-free versions of the shows, as well as the Locked On merch, which people have, for some reason, asked me for over time, and now we've got it. Go. We're going to go into Points League stream. And for those of you who complain and whinge, bitch, about, just do more Points League stuff, which again, I think you're just not listening to the things I'm saying because basically everything that I talk about, 90% of it can be applied to categories and Points Leagues. But you know what I said? All right, we're going to do 10 players for category streams. I'm going to do 10 for Yahoo points. I'm going to do 10 for ESPN points. And we're going to use different cutoffs for the roster percentages. So we're going to have 10 numbers, and there's going to be maximum 2 guys who are between 60 and 50. We're going to have 2 guys that are under 50%, 2 guys that are under 40, 2 guys that are under 20, and 2 guys under 10, which again should hit all of the double onyxes out there. So you look at some of these names and go, Josh, what? But let's just talk about them. Because Kevin Porter Jr. is under 60% rostered. And I'm just going to throw it out there, just in case, that you're in whatever the reverse of a double onyx is. A paper tiger league. An 8-teamer. This man is just an absolute must roster. Now, again, 60% is a weird cutoff because I think there might be leagues that are 40% dead. But it's okay. I'm just going to cover it off. Kevin Porter, must roster. Derek Queen. Great stream. Must roster. Ryan Rollins. Great stream. Must roster. Those top 3 players, actually top 4, actually top 5, maybe not the 5th. Because Ryan Rollins is 3rd and Keegan Murray is 4th. And Keegan Murray is only 40% rostered. And yes, we're seeing the usage drop back down from Keegan. But still, obviously an excellent stream on Friday. But just a guy to hold on to. But again, for those of you in the shallower leagues, there's some names there. Next one is Nemesh Kater, who's a must-roster category league guy. Points leagues, it is a little bit more debatable. And if you're in a 130 deep 10-teamer, we'll make it a 150 deep with injured reserve stuff, I'm not sure that he's a must. If you're in an 8-teamer or 130 deep league, then he probably isn't. But 12-teamer, yeah, I'd say that Nemesh is. But he's available in a lot of different spots. Now let's get into more of the shallow availability guys. Peyton Watson's there. We know that he's over 70% available. Rob Williams is my next guy. The Rock DJ, who will jump ahead on this list if Donovan Clingan is ruled out. You got the future MVP Kyle Kuzma. And then we get into some lower rostered guys. Jordan Walsh, who foul trouble is a problem for him. He has relied upon really extreme shooting numbers to get us value, but the steals, blocks, rebounds, and the starting job are pretty secure. He's a really good streamer. And the last name is the Walls of Jericho Sims, who is available basically everywhere. He might play 20 minutes, he might play 30 minutes, but I feel very good about saying that with Giannis out, Sims is going to be in the rotation. Meaning that, like, if you're just looking for somebody and you're in a 200 deep league, Sims is the guy you want. Yeah, he's 10th on the list of the 10 guys, but he is available everywhere. Just giving you that little bit of a heads up in that one. For ESPN points, we're going to use the same percentage designations. 2 under 60, 2 under 50, 2 under 40, 2 under 20, 2 under 10. And a lot of these guys just need to be rostered, like Derek Queen at the top of the list. Nemesh Keita probably is must roster in ESPN points. Peyton Watson for the short term is a must roster. And then I saw Jeremy Grant's name on that list. I went, wow, okay, so nobody's adding Jeremy Grant. That is a gigantic oversight. And yes, there are dead leagues there. But again, I just want to make sure that we're trying to cover off as many as possible. Sadiq Bey, the depressed penis. For the short term, absolutely, he's just a must roster player. And they are all, if they're available, excellent stream guys. And I know they're available in some spots, and I want to embrace as many people as possible in this show. Your league doesn't have to be the most double onyx. It can be. And I believe you'll get some stuff out of this show. But it can be basic. And you can just use it to cook your mates who don't know what they're doing. Oh, just a quick shout out. Remember, the sleeper sucks. And now another 5 for ESPN. Tamani Kamara. For a points league, he is debatable if you're in a 170 deep 12-teamer. I would probably hold. If it's 150, it is debatable. And streaming his spot if he's the worst player will give you more value. But for today, we like the stream. Same with Cam Johnson. Pretty much a similar spot to Kamara. Long term, he's not going to be a 12-team hold. At the moment, he's got 10-team stream value for points leagues. But hey, that's exactly what we're doing. Rob Williams is there. Again, could really jump up the list. And then for the guys available in a lot of spots, we've got Geordie Walsh and presumed King starting centre, Maxime Reynaud, who I just hope they don't keep him at 24 minutes and we actually get a 28 or 29 out of him. But really good stream value for those guys. Now, if you are in a category league, a points league, ESPN or Yahoo scoring, let me know how those 10 names for each of those different formats worked out for you. And I'm waiting for someone to tell me, well, in my league, every one of those guys was rostered. And then I'll have to think what I'm going to do because Jericho Sims is 1% rostered. And he was on both lists. So, yeah, I don't exactly know what we'll do with that one if that does end up being the thing. But, sorry, I lied. Sims is 3% rostered. Maybe I have to chuck in a 0% rostered special on these lists for the double onyxes out there, which I know exist. Thumb up the video, leave a comment, double bang, subscribe, Everyday Club. Guys, link in the bio. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.